NextLabs Data Access Enforcer, or DAE, can help organizations protect trade secret data. There are many things that organizations need to protect as trade secrets, such as IP, vendor, and supply chain data. Each of these comes with its own challenges because of how that data is used by the organization. The safest way to protect such data is to have it only accessible on a need-to-know basis, so that as few people as possible are able to access that information. NextLabs dynamic authorization technology allows organizations to define data access policies using attribute-based access control, or ABAC, which allows policies to be evaluated at the time of data access. This means that changes to user and data attributes will be automatically incorporated into policy evaluation. These policies allow organizations to validate in real time who is supposed to be able to access the data being requested, and whether the user requesting access to the data is a member of the authorized group of users. Since the policy is being evaluated dynamically, changes in the attributes of the data and the user are automatically taken into account at the time of the data access request. Any changes are automatically applied without requiring the data access policy to be updated. We will demonstrate two ways DAE can be used to protect trade secrets. First, we will show how DAE can be used to filter material master records based on the product group of the user and the material record, and mask the material descriptions for users who are not in a production role. Then we will show how DAE can be used to filter business partner data by the user's authorization and the partner ID, and how the partner's identification information can be masked for the records a user is able to access if they are not in the purchasing department. For this demo, we will show how material master records can be protected by using both DAE's filtering and masking capabilities. Material master records will be filtered by the product group the user is a part of, so the users only see the materials related to their product group. The material descriptions will then also be masked for users that are not in a production role. We have three users in this demonstration. The first, User 01, is in a production role for the drivetrain group, so we'll be able to see unmasked records for materials related to that group. The second user, User 03, is in an accounting role for the finished bikes group, so we'll be able to see the material records for that group, but we'll have the descriptions masked. Finally, we have the end developer user, who is a power user and as such has access to the records for all product groups. Since they are not in a production role, however, they will have the material descriptions masked, even though they are a power user. Let's take a look at how this is done with DAE. First, we'll look in the Control Center, where the policy is defined. Here we can see that we have defined a policy to filter the material master record, as well as mask the material descriptions. We have defined this policy to apply to all users and on the app server, as well as the tables that we want to filter and mask. Here in the predicate condition, we define that the material record should be filtered to match the user's product group. And here in the masking section, we specify the table and the field to mask, which is that for the product description. Here we can see that we are applying this mask if the user's role does not include production. Note that the user's roles, as well as the user's product group, are all being dynamically pulled from the SAP database to be used for the filtering and the masking. Now let's take a look at this in the SAP system. First, we'll look at the material list and material master view with the User 01 user. This user is part of the drivetrain product group, and so can see all materials associated with the drivetrain. Since they are in production, they can see the material descriptions as well. Now if we view the same view with the user 03 user. This user is in the finished byte group, so only sees the material records for that product group. But since they are not in production, the description of each material is masked. Finally, we can view all of this with the end developer user, who is a super user. So if they go to the MARA table directly and try to view all records, they're able to see all materials for all the different product groups, but the descriptions are masked because they're not in production. This is true both for the MARA table as well as for the MAKT table. Here you can see that descriptions are masked, even when viewing the table directly with the SE16 transaction. This concludes the demonstration of filtering and masking the material master records with DAE. For this demo, we will show how business partner information can be protected by using both DAE's filtering and masking capabilities. An organization's business partners, whether they are vendors, suppliers, partners, or customers, is very valuable information and must be protected as a trade secret. Business partner records will be filtered by the business partner IDs the user is authorized to view, so that the users only see the records for the business partners they are authorized for. The business partner identification information will then also be masked for users that are not in a purchasing role. We have 3 users for this demonstration. The first, user 1, is in a sales role and is authorized to access the business partners in the range 1000000 to 1000009. So we'll be able to see those business partner records, but we'll have identifying information for those business partners masked. The second user, user 02, is in a purchasing role for the business partners in the range 1000010 to 1000050. So we'll be able to see those business partner records, and since they're in a purchasing role, the identification information will be unmasked. Finally, we have the end developer user, who is a power user and as such has access to the records for all business partners. However, since they are not in a purchasing role, they will have all identification information masked, even though they are a power user. Let's take a look at this in the system. First, we will take a look at how the policy is defined in the NextLabs Control Center. Here we can see that we have defined a policy that applies to all users. And because the business partner identification information is spread out through multiple tables, we specify that this policy applies to all of those tables where that information is stored. Here in the predicate condition, this is where we define the filter that only will display business partner records to users that they are authorized to see. And then in the data masking section, here's where we specify which fields should be masked. Since the identification information is stored in multiple tables in SAP, we define this masking for all of the tables that are necessary. That's ADRC, BUT000, ADR2, ADR6. Note that the mask conditions, as well as the predicate conditions, are dynamically defined by values from the SAP database. Now we can take a look at this in the system. First, we will take a look at the business partner's information when logged in as user 01. Here we can see that for them, the information is masked. If we open up the information for the business partners, we can see that even within, the information is masked. If we then look at the information for user 02, who is in the purchasing department, we can see that for theirs, for them, the information for the business partners is unmasked. We can still see that the partner IDs for which they are authorized have been used as a filter. If we click into any of these, we can see that the information is also unmasked at the display organization level. Finally, if we try to view the information directly in the table using the SC16 transaction with the power user, in this case the in-developer user, we will see that the identification information is still masked, even though they are a power user. This is because this user is not in a purchasing role. In this way, data is protected even when in developer, debugging, or power user mode. This concludes a demonstration of how DAE can be used to filter and mask business partner data in SAP.